Hello and welcome back to Continental Club. We are back in the East Dulwich Tavern after a 1-week absence, and it feels damn good to be back. And I'm back with Henry Hill and Michael McCubbin. Lads, how are we doing? Henri, looking very smart. You got your khaki trousers on, ready to go.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm already looking forward to the police siren, just to sort of settle us back in. All those sounds. What more can I enjoy of life? It's transfer season. It's big moves. Wimbledon's on. And our government's about to fall apart. All good things.
Women's Euro starting as well.
Women's
It has
Euros.
started already at this point, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm really looking forward to that tournament, actually. I'm really excited to see what England can do. Massive fan of Lucy Bronze. I think she's awesome, moving to Barcelona this year. Good luck for her. Let's see what England can do with the first tournament under the new coach.
It is indeed.
I think. So, yeah.
It is indeed. Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for her club teammate, though, Alexi Putellas.
Yes.
She's injured. One of the best players in the world. Real big loss for Spain, that. McCubbs, how are you doing? You well?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, echoing Henry's thoughts. Yeah, it's kind of peak. It's the peak of kind of summer sport, isn't it, at the moment? So yeah, that's nice. And it's just nice to be back in the East Dulwich Tavern. I feel like we've had a good run, haven't we, over the last couple of months? And it really showed, actually. Like after recording from home last week, I was just like,
it's just not the same.
It's just not the same at all. It's not the same. I don't know how we did it for nearly 2 years. I'm all good, Diggs. How about yourself?
Yeah, good. I echo your thoughts as well. I think communicating via Zoom while we actually use Microsoft Teams is just not nearly the same. And there's always some technical hitches going on, etc. But we are back in person today, and we have a bumper title because there are 55 days left of the transfer window as this video goes live. But there have been numerous deals already completed. And today we want to rank the best deals that have been done so far. Now, there have been a lot more done deals in some leagues than others, which we will get onto. But we are going to kick off with the Bundesliga. Henry, where do you want to go with the Bundesliga? You don't necessarily have to start ranking. What transfers have sort of tickled your fancy so far?
I'm going to go straight in for at NYC Juventus' selection of Nico Schlotterbeck.
A solid one.
Schlotterbeck is a great name. Really like this guy. 25 million euros, 22 years old. He's been playing for Freiburg since 2018-19. He spent 2021 on loan at Union Berlin. He's just really solid, isn't he? Hasn't made loads of first team appearances, it should be said, just 56 appearances for the club, 73 in his senior career, but he was in the Bundesliga team of the season last year. Really highly rated in the Germany squad, 4 caps. Just looks like a modern day centre-half when you watch him play, doesn't he? Ranks in the top 1% of centre-backs for shots, creative actions, touches in the opposition box, also top 10% for progressive passes, dribbles, completed tackles, aerials won, etc. I think alongside Hummels and alongside Sula, I think he's just going to learn so much. It's not necessary that he has to hit the ground running. I think I said it the other week, he said that money is not his prerogative at the moment, so he's doing it really, he just sounds like a really switched on, smart guy. So I really like this signing by Borussia Dortmund. I do, however, like who Freiburg have replaced him with as well, Matthias Ginter. I think that is a really solid addition.
Free as well, wasn't it?
Free transfer as well. And on the subject of Freiburg, I saw Ritsu Doan made the comment section, whoever suggested him. Really interesting Japanese winger from PSV Eindhoven, 7 million euros. I did a quick comparison between him and Anthony at Ajax. They both scored 8 in the Eredivisie last season. Anthony got 4 assists to Doan's 1. He played a lot more minutes. And
who did, Anthony or Doan?
Anthony played more minutes. And it's really telling, he took way more shots than Doan. They're slightly different. Anthony tends to hug the touchline a bit more, a lot more crosses. Doan cuts inside a lot. He's a really tricky, exciting Japanese sort of inside forwards. Scored some great goals last season for PSV. Really exciting in the continental competitions as well. For 7 million euros, when you consider the hype being given to Anthony, what they're quoting 45, 50 million for him at the moment, to sneak in and pinch someone out of PSV for 7 million euros. He played a fair amount last season, produced results. I'm really excited to see that signing. It's kind of different for Freiburg, but I think it's really good.
Nice, and continues a great era for Japanese players in Europe as well, with Kamada, of course, doing well, Rio Hatate at Celtic, numerous players at Celtic, actually. So best of luck to Doan at Freiburg. McCubbs, who else do you want to bring to the table?
On the subject of PSV, by the way, Luke de Jong going back there is great. Can't wait to see him back there. I feel like he'll be quite prolific back in the Eredivisie after that very kind of unexpectedly successful stint at Barca. I think I think I have to go to Dortmund as well, if I'm honest. I think they've done such good business this summer. Schlotterbeck, amazing signing, and I think like Henry says, like he's going to be alongside two very experienced centre-backs at Dortmund. So I think he has a very kind of aggressive style. He likes to come out and attack forwards when they're kind of on the attack. So he does leave space in behind, but with Hummels and Süle there, I think he will. He'll have a kind of safety net. But I do think as well, Salih Özcan, who they signed from Köln for, 5 million euros, really, really solid defensive midfielder, Bundesliga proven as well, one of Köln's best players last term in what was a decent season from them. I think he could be a really smart pickup, and I've seen a lot of Dortmund fans actually say that he's the one that they're most excited about because
they've needed him for a while.
They've needed that really solid defensive midfield presence, and on top of that, it means that hopefully Bellingham will have a bit more of a free role and not have so much defensive responsibility next time. So I think that's a really exciting signing in terms of just making Dortmund a bit more functional, kind of defensively and going forward as well, in terms of freeing up their more creative players. And my other one from the Bundesliga I'm really excited about is Adam Hlozek, from at our Caldwell, who's sent this in. Thanks for the suggestion. Just really, really exciting player. And the fact that he's going to be linking up with Patrick Schick, another Czech forward, is just nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe a bit of a collar and Barosh kind of situation. Even though that's not the dynamic they'll have. The interesting thing with Hlozek is that I think everyone kind of thought that he was just a pure striker, like the season before last, because he was scoring at a rate of like a goal a game pretty much. But last year, he was a lot more of a creative presence, was playing a lot as a second striker, can also actually play on the left wing, I believe, as well. He's a really good dribbler. He's quite tall, he's very physical, but has really good technical attributes and just good kind of vision. And so I think he will be like an all-round really good addition to that forward line, whether he's playing off Schick or whether he's doing some work on the left. I don't know, I just think that it makes that Leverkusen forward line even more fluid, and it was pretty fluid last season, wasn't it? Diaby and Wirtz are really kind of versatile players in that forward line. I think it's good news for Patrick Schick. I think he's got one more person supplying him, someone who can also break into the box and score. So it's really exciting for Leverkusen. I think those would be my two picks in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I like it. Another player to mention, I think, was suggested by @BlazerStakes, and that's Mario Götze, going to Eintracht Frankfurt. And I think there'll be a lot of eyes on Frankfurt this year. They obviously didn't perform that well in the Bundesliga last year, but obviously won the Europa League. They'll be back in the Champions League. They're signing an incredibly experienced player. Obviously, he's played for Dortmund, Bayern Munich, PSV, one of the biggest teams in Holland. And his record at PSV was pretty impressive as well. 18 goals and 18 assists in 76 games. They've also signed Lucas Alario from Bayer Leverkusen, to Eintracht Frankfurt. The only issue for Eintracht Frankfurt is one of their best defenders over the last few years has been Martin Hinteregger, who got injured, I think, in the Europa League semi-final or final and went off, and it looked a bit sad for the end of his season. But he's actually been forced into retirement, or has retired, because links to a right-wing politician sort of were unveiled. He's denied that he really knew his sort of background, but that's a massive loss in defence. So I'm going to be intrigued to see how Glasner's side do next year.
Just on the subject of Eintracht, Randall Kolo Muani from Nantes, he scored 11 and got 5 assists last season. He was really, really good. And they got him on a free transfer as well, so that's nuts.
Love it.
And actually, another little shout I was looking at. So I was looking at who Union Berlin were going to replace Taiwo Ione with, because that's a big loss. And they've picked up Jordan Pefek from Young Boys. He scored 22 in the Swiss Super League last season. And he also scored the winner against Manchester United. Perhaps you remember it.
Vaguely.
Vaguely.
Yeah.
So you sort of maybe forgotten about it.
Yeah, I've forgotten about it.
He's 26. He scored goals for Reims and Rennes over in France as well. He scored 42 in the last 2 years for Young Boys. So for €7 million,
not bad.
Maybe worth watching out for. I think after Cabral had a bit of a tough time at Fiorentina, didn't he, coming out of FC Basel. So I'm not going to sort of jump ahead and say this guy's going to be prolific, but he scored a lot of goals in the last few seasons. And they've also bought Greuther Fürth's Jamie Llewellyn as well, who got 5 goals last season. He's a second striker. and they've only gone for about 4 million. So they are trying to bolster their forward line. So I'm excited to see if that new look attack is going to do the business.
I feel like players generally do well at Union though. They like the last 2 years, they generally have been a bit of a success story for players who've kind of either coming into the league or making a name for themselves. So yeah, that would be interesting to see.
Yeah, they've had a phenomenal few years. Completely superseded Hertha as the biggest side in Berlin now, which a few years ago, given the fact Hertha Berlin Stadium is, I think it's over 60,000.
Yeah.
They're an enormous club. They're just going through a really tough time. But fair play to Union. Right, guys, we need to rank. Who's your number one from the Bundesliga? Also think it's worth giving Adeyemi a shout out from Solomon Vai. They've also signed Sebastian Haller, so maybe you guys want to choose that. Ryan Gravenberch as well, came in from KRG_MCFC. Nicolas Sula, who we already mentioned. Who's your number one? McCubs, we'll go to you first.
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned any of the Bayern business. The Bayern business has been good, but I just think Dortmund needed it more, so I kind of think their signings have been more impressive in that sense. I don't know. I'm going to go for Hlozek. They got him on a really good deal, and yeah, he could. He will probably bag them a huge profit in the future, and he does safeguard that forward line a little bit if one of those other players was to leave in the next year. So yeah, I'm going to go for Hlozek.
Yeah, I mean, I like at KRG MCFC suggesting Ryan Gravenberch, but I just don't see how many minutes he's going to get next season. But for me at the moment, Nicolas Sula, Luke Jones _10, thank you. I just think a free transfer to get him, peak his powers, is just nuts. So yeah, for me, like to echo McCubs, a lot of Dortmund's business is great. Adeyemi's super exciting, but Nicolas Sula for free, unreal.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying about Gravenberch, but they have lost Mark Rocker, Toliso's gone as well, so who will be one of those first backups, as it were? I mean, Sabitzer and Musiala are their only other central midfielders. I don't know what's happening with Konrad Laimer, who they were linked with. I'm actually going to go a little bit niche. I'm going to go for Nusa Mazraoui as the right back on a free from Ajax. He has had his injury issues over the last few years, but if it allows Pavard to strengthen at centre back, where I think Bayern have had some issues in the last few years, then I think that would be a good thing. Like Mazraoui, his stats are slightly warped by the fact he plays for such a ball-dominant side, but his tackle numbers are still really solid, and I think he actually would have been perfect for Man United and could have potentially released Sancho on that right-hand side as well.
You think that's the best transfer in the Bundesliga?
Yeah, it's a free transfer.
Number one.
Yeah.
Wow.
You look like you wanted to fight me for a second.
No, it's all right. There's other leagues to discuss.
There are other leagues to discuss. Guys, get your Bundesliga top pick in the comments. We haven't even mentioned Sadio Mané, which is
he was pretty good.
Probably a pretty good piece of business as well. Let's move on to Serie A. There are numerous ones to choose from. Henry, put forward your case, or who do you want to mention first?
My goodness. I do really like Inter Milan's business so far. At Kesh 67676, Romelu Lukaku. I mean, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I like the fact that the ultras have come out and said
he's got to earn it.
He's got to earn it, and I do kind of agree, but still just a massive joke, isn't it? 8 year, 10 the kind of money they did on him. Still 29. I think he just needs to be loved, really. We've seen that on multiple occasions.
Very sensitive guy.
Yeah, and I just think back next to Lautaro Martinez, he is an upgrade on Dzeko up front. That's just goes without saying, isn't it? So yeah, I'm really excited to see if he can kind of rekindle his love there. And actually, at our Guide 12's suggestion of Andre Onana, also brilliant. I think Handanovic is now 37. Lots of talk they might be rotating between themselves next year, which is an interesting one because he had a pretty good season last year, 79% save percentage. But to pick up Onana on a free transfer is pretty remarkable. So yeah, I'm a big fan of that business. I will, however, sorry to hog Serie A so far.
No, go for it.
Monza are really fascinating. They've come up and they are going big in a big way. Like, I think they've got some very rich owners, ambitious owners.
Yeah, Berlusconi, no?
Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
There we go.
If he's still there, yeah.
He's back.
Bunga Bunga himself. So, yeah, I mean, Sensi.
Captain Bunga Bunga.
Yeah. Stefano Sensi on loan, from
Inter.
From Inter. I think he was brilliant a few years ago at his peak. Had a bit of unlucky time of injuries, but Sampdoria, he was all right too. But also, the other loan signings they picked up, Alessio Cragno and Andrea Carboni from Cagliari, both probably the standout players for Cagliari in recent years. Cragno is an capped Italian goalkeeper. He's been one of the top 5 Italian keepers for a long time now. Save percentage has dropped off a little bit, but he's been in an awful team. So for them to get him through the door as well, I think that's huge. To get Cragno, to get a really solid, excellent, sort of high pedigree keeper through the door, that's great. So I like the Sensi move. I like Cragno as well. I think those are Monza, I'm excited to see what they're going to do next year. I love these Italian sides coming up and just going wild.
Yeah.
Like Salernitana last year set the precedent. For just
Venezia spent quite a lot of money as well, actually.
They were probably the worst side I've ever seen. So yeah, those are my suggestions.
Yeah, I think Sensi's a good one, to be fair. I mean, he was looked at as one of Italy's next up-and-coming central midfielders when he's at Sassuolo, and then had a really good time at Inter in his first year, or maybe his first 6 months, then got injured and things slightly fell apart for him. Lukaku, I think, is really exciting. It probably makes Inter, as it stands, probably Serie A favourites next year, with Milan's business not quite tied up just yet. But I do think if they spend £16 million in a loan fee and wages, which is supposedly what it is, or 60 million euros, and then they have to sell Skriniar to balance the books, which they probably had to do anyway, and then bring in Bremer, who I do think is very good, but I don't think he's quite at Skriniar's level yet, then it's not as good as it could be, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Even though it's going to improve their attack. Like, if I was going to sell anyone from that Inter forward line or squad, I'd probably sell Lautaro Martinez and bring in Dybala for a couple of years and have Lukaku and Dzeko and try and Joaquin Correa as my forward players. Like, Inter have been so good at the back in the last few years, so I think it would be a real shame to lose Skriniar. McCubs, let's briefly talk about Dario Juventino's suggestion of Divock Origi.
Yes.
Could he be in the running? He is a free transfer.
Well, yeah. I mean, was it you've never been a fan?
Sure on
You're not
this,
a fan. Yeah. I mean, I think it's Divock Origi, again, unknown entity in many respects. We've not seen him start as a striker for, we haven't seen him start as a striker for Liverpool. I actually forgot that he was on loan at Wolfsburg in, when it was at 17, 18, was it? Like, we haven't seen him really given a proper chance. He's 27 now. Weirdly, Sensi, how is Sensi turning like 28 this summer? By the way, like it's weird. Like all these players, like it's funny. I joined Football Daily when I was 23 years old, and now I'm like a year away, pretty much from turning 30. And all the players who we were talking about as like upstarts and like these guys are going to be promising, these are the stars of the future. When I joined, are now. Last chance saloon.
But look
essentially.
at you, you're a star of YouTube now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm still young. Yeah, this profession is, we've got many years left. But anyway, Divock Origi. I'm excited to see. Like, I think it's weird. Like, I think he garners a lot of love, and like it's hard to know whether he'll actually like score over 15 goals in Serie A next season. But I think that actually more has to do with what Milan do with their other business. Like you're saying, Dukes, they haven't had that much luck in terms of getting deals over the line. Origi's the only one so far. It really depends on whether they can get someone like Ziyech in or even Asensio in or De Ketelaere, like people who can supply him, because at the moment there still is a lack of that kind of stuff. Like they were reliant on someone like Giroud last term who can kind of feed off scraps at points. Like he's just such an instinctive in-the-box striker. Like, I think that's what they're reliant on. Whereas with Inter, you're welcoming back the guy who was, by a distance, the best striker in the league 2 years ago. And I completely agree. I think as it stands, Inter are winning Serie A next term. So like, I think I have to go with Lukaku if we're ranking. I think like so for like when you compare it to like I think the Bundesliga that has had the most amount of good business. Serie A has been a bit quieter, I think, and Lukaku is right up there. Shout out though to Bangers and Smash's suggestion of Zeki Celik, by the way, because that's I think that's also a very very solid Mourinho signing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. €7 million as well. I was going to bring him into the fold, really. He's still only 25. I feel like we've been talking about Zeki Celik for years. Mourinho supposedly wanted him at Spurs during his time there. He's finally got his man. He can offer a more defensive alternative to Karsdorp on that right-hand side. We've talked about Sensi to Monza, maybe Demiral to Atalanta. I think Juve might end up regretting that if De Ligt leaves this summer as well. They're going to be left with, Rugani and Bonucci as their two centre-backs. I'm a little bit confused about what Juve are doing, to be totally honest. Florenzi to Milan as well, €2.8 million. That feels like a pretty good deal. One player to mention quickly before we move on to La Liga, Marcus Antonio, who's joined Lazio from Shakhtar Donetsk. Now, I'm not going to pretend I watch Shakhtar on a weekly basis, but this guy does have a really good reputation there. The season was obviously cut short by the war in Ukraine, and they are losing Lucas Leiva, who has been pretty sensational for Lazio as a signing over 5 years, has played so many games there, really good leader, really solid at the base of that midfield, and with Sergej Milinkovic-Savic's future a little bit uncertain, as it is every summer supposedly, it's going to be interesting what Sarri does with that midfield next term, and Marcos Antonio has got big shoes to fill. So if we're going for top striker, you guys, top signing, you guys are going Lukaku?
I'm going Lukaku, a lot of people have mentioned about this Kavisha Kvaratskhelia guy.
Yes, great
pronunciation. I've been sweating about that. A lot of people said, like someone in the comments last week said they were from Georgia and at Dinamo Batumi, where he was playing. Apparently, really exciting. One to watch out, but yeah, I don't think you can look past Lukaku as the best deal. But I mean, Pogba, who knows what he could do.
Yeah.
Once he's signed with
Di Maria too, if he still stays fit as well. But yeah, the Georgian player, Kvaratskhelia, that's the way I'm going to go with that. Need to hear that more times from Italian commentators. Yeah. Supposedly he's an absolute dribble monster, so it should be fun to watch, but big shoes to fill with Insigne having left there, Mertens too. Fair enough. Let's move on to La Liga. La Liga, I was saying that some of the leagues haven't been so busy. Outside of Real Madrid and Barcelona making some free transfers, there's very little to choose from. I'm going to put forward the case for Antonio Rudiger, which was suggested by our guy 12. For Real Madrid's last 4 signings have been Camavinga, Tchouameni, Rudiger and Alaba. I don't think it can really get much better, to be honest. They've signed the future of their midfield, which we've been talking about for years that they've needed to do. And they've signed 2 of the top 10 centre-backs in the world, probably, on frees. Insane. And Rudiger, his time at Chelsea wasn't always as strong as it was last year. He was in and out of favour under Lampard. I think last year was the first time he'd played around 50 games in a season, but he'd won it all there pretty much, outside of the Premier League. I think he won an FA Cup, Champions League, Europa League, Super Cup, European Super Cup, Club World Cup, of course. And last year, I thought he was absolutely excellent, particularly at that ball-carrying role that he does so effectively up that left-hand side. Does have a tendency to shoot from distance, which is always quite amusing, probably not the most effective method, but when I last said that I thought that it was going to lead, or when we last brought up this signing, lots of the comments were, I basically said that Rudiger and Alaba would be the centre-back duo and Militao would probably drop to the bench. And everyone in the comments said, no, they're going to play Alaba at left-back. I'm intrigued, to be honest. I think Ferland Mundi's a very good player as well. So they just have a lot of options now. Surprised they haven't strengthened at right-back so far, Real Madrid. But Antonio Rudiger on a free, so much experience at peak age. I don't think that can be really topped. But McCubs, do you want to put forward a case for anyone else?
I think Real Madrid, there's the thing with La Liga that's just been so quiet, hasn't it, so far this summer. I do think, on the subject of centre-backs, I think Andreas Christensen is a really good pickup for Barcelona. I know there's, the general feeling around Barcelona and transfers isn't so great at the moment, given,
Got this new lever. Big cash now.
Yeah,
supposedly.
But the hoops they've had to run through for that is, it's hard to say Barcelona doing good, great business. Their January business I think was hyped up a lot in the kind of weeks after it happened, and when you look back at it, it's actually did they need to spend that much in January, considering everything that's happened since? But we can save that for another episode. I think Andreas Christensen is the kind of centre-back that they've been needing to sign for a number of years. Hopefully it means that they're not so reliant on PK anymore. It'll be interesting to see how kind of Xavi lines them up. Obviously Longley is kind of tipped to leave, isn't he, this summer as well?
It's a great move for Longley.
Yeah, it would be good. And I think, to be honest, I don't think there's actually that much difference between Longley and Christensen, but it hasn't, it didn't work out between Longley over the last couple of years. I think, I'm just... I'm
lost a bit of confidence.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see Christensen really given that responsibility, because I think when he was given that responsibility to Chelsea, he was really good. My only worry would be, if he's pairing him with Eric Garcia, who's not such a physical defender as well, is that the best pairing? I think it will probably have to be Araujo and Christensen, and then maybe kind of Eric Garcia.
Yeah, there's still speculation that they're going to go for Jules Koundé. Do you think they need Jules Koundé if they've already got Christensen?
Not sure. I think right back is a much bigger issue for them, and also securing a long-term left back for them. It's mad to think actually with Barca, going off on a tangent here, that they sold Marc Cucurella 2 years ago to Getafe, and now he's got to go to Man City probably. I mean,
he looked so good at Getafe as well, and Eibar.
Yeah, he was just he was just the one, wasn't he? Oh, he was on loan, wasn't he?
He was on loan originally.
So I think Christensen's a good pickup. I think Kessié might even be a decent body in midfield, but Tchouameni, I think, it's hard to look past him, isn't it? Like, I mean, he's the most in-demand midfielder this summer. I think before we were talking about kind of Jude Bellingham as a potential kind of future of Real Madrid's midfield. Even Gravenberch was kind of in the conversation, but I think, I think Tchouameni his kind of last 6 months in particular at Monaco were just so impressive, weren't they? And it will be interesting. And the thing is with it as well, it's like what is especially exciting is if Real Madrid can nail a really good, like if Real Madrid could nail Nagelsmann in like 2 years' time, and then he's going to be working with Camavinga at Tchouameni as they're about to enter their kind of peak
Bellingham.
Years. And well, let's just chuck Bellingham in there as well. But it's like, that's the thing. It's like under Ancelotti, I think he'll be fine, but like he doesn't have an amazing track record with young players. Like I think once Real Madrid nail that kind of next manager. And if he's a world-class manager, then it'll be really exciting to see how that midfield develops with Tchouameni kind of at the centre of it. I think I'll probably go for Tchouameni just because it's such a, it's a huge signing, and it was kind of great to see them like lose out on Mbappe and just be like, okay, yeah, cool, we'll just spend 100 million on the best, young midfielder in Europe. Like, let's just go for it. That was from Guna USA, by the way.
Good shout, Guna USA. Henry, it feels like that signing sort of guaranteed their competitiveness for the next few years.
If I was Jude Bellingham and they're serious about trying to sign him, I'll be looking at it going, I want a piece of that midfield. That is, Real Madrid just have that ability to regenerate and maintain that status, that superiorness, which United used to have. There was a moment that United had it in the peak Alex Ferguson eras where they just felt better than everything else, and I think Real Madrid have that right now. But I agree with you. That is, for me, Tchouameni is the signing of the summer.
The whole summer or La Liga?
La Liga, maybe we'll see at the end.
Okay.
But I'll quickly run through some of the other suggestions.
Yeah, go for it.
Since they're here. At Avgugum Moenjoa. Vilja Svedberg. Interestingly, this was mentioned to me on my scouting trip to Stockholm a few weeks ago.
Nice.
Another Henry Hill scouting trip.
The thing is, he scored 5 and 10 goals for Hammarby in the league.
5 and 10 games.
In 10 games, yes, last season. 18 years old, he's joining Celta Vigo.
Good club to go to.
Yeah, good club to go to.
Aren't they?
Maybe a bit young, I think. And I share that concern with at JWMUFC_suggestion of Mohamed Ali Cho. 18 years old again, a bit more experienced. He's been at Angers, 4 goals in 56 games. That's not prolific, is it? 14 million euros a gamble. I definitely more intrigued about that one than Svedberg, but both work in progresses and happy to be proved wrong. However, I'm going to chuck in, we briefly mentioned it, about Betis. The pickup of Luis Felipe on a free at centre-half is brilliant from Lazio. He's played over 140 games for Lazio. He's been pretty much ever present. He's a really smart defender, not massive tackle numbers, but really composed on the ball, lots of blocks. I mean, he's a solid choice. He's left, he's only 25, he's left because he wants to experience a different style of football. All 3 of Betis' centre-halves at the moment are 31 or above.
I was going to say, how old's Mark Barch?
You said about feeling, gosh, you're old.
Yeah.
Mark Barch is 31 now. He used to be the one which you was
the next
FIFA.
big talent.
Yeah, exactly. They've gone in and secured for free because Betis don't have a ton of cash, irrelevant of how well they've been doing recently. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to sign Bayer in on a permanent deal. So to get Felipe on a free, secure up that centre-half spot for a few years, I think he's just a really solid defender. I think that's a win-win. For me, that's the best value signing in La Liga this winter so far, summer so far, considering they spent nothing. But nothing really beats for me Tchouameni going in there.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sticking with Rudiger. Worth quickly mentioning Cristo, series of numbers, Pablo Torre, big reputation at Racing Santander, 10 goals and 11 assists in 31 games last season, supposedly more of a number 10. Probably spells the end for Ricky Puig at some stage this summer, as we've been saying for quite a while, poor Puig. Let's move on to Ligue A though. Not an exceptional summer of business in Liga either, I'd say. La Liga and Liga seem like they're slowly easing into it. Henry, where do you want to start with Liga?
Yeah, it's a bit boring. No, I like...
Everyone's just left.
So I like at Paprika5 suggestion of Buxa. Adam Buxa joined Lyon from New England Revolution. Polish striker, 11 goals, 2 assists in 13 games. You never quite know what to expect of an MLS player, but let's see. They've also just got Bryce Samba as well from Nottingham Forest,
great pick up that.
which is really good for 5 million euros. It looked like he was going to go to Nantes, but it's gone to Lyon instead. Lyon are a team that are going in the right direction. I really like Guna USA's suggestion again, Sorensen Tolisso to Lyon. I think Lyon, really exciting under their new ownership. Now an American guy's come in, valued the club at about 800 million euros, which really does show. Yeah, it really does show where Lyon are. Yeah, it's great, and he's promised to pump some money into it to close the gap. I really like getting Lacazette through the door on a free transfer, considering they don't have European football. Let's just stress. So they're having to kind of tempt them in with the legacy of the club, really. But Tolisso, I thought he was great for Bayern when he did play. Just really struggled. Obviously, he was bought for 41 million euros, 29 goals, 17 assists, and 160 games. If he can get himself fit, he can be a real asset to that side, who lost Tanguy Ndombele as well. But I mean, the thing about Ligue is there's loads of little transfers going on around the 2-3 million mark of young French guys moving around, and you just don't know who's going to be the star of the future. You don't know who Monaco are looking at going, yeah, we'll pick him up, because
there'll be at least like 5 coming from Ligue 2 who will score 5 next season.
This is exactly, so looking at Lyon's business, they bought Johan Le Pennon for 4.25 million euros from Cayenne, 19-year-old, same place that N'Golo Kanté came from to Leicester those years ago. He's 19 years old, he's got over 30 caps for the French youth teams. He's clearly no mug, and he's played centre mid, and I think I was looking, he's the sort of next Maxence Caqueret. And for 4 million euros, I mean, it's played loads for Cayenne last season in Ligue 2. Who knows? Who knows? He could be great. And like, they clearly, Lyon tend to know what they're doing when it comes to signing youth players. So these are the kind of transfers I think to watch out for. But in terms of the overall look, yeah, for me, I'm going to go for Tolisso. I think that's my favourite transfer in Ligue 1.
Yeah. The thing is, you know, he did cost Bayern a lot. I think it was one of their record transfers at the time. But he fully deserved to go for that amount of money at the time. Like, it wasn't mental from Bayern. It was just really unfortunate how it turned out. And as you say, still just 27. I like the pickup of Lacazette, as you say, too. It sort of covers them if Moussa Dembele leaves this summer. I've been touting him for a move to Man United for the last 3-4 weeks. Especially now, Cristiano Ronaldo looks like his future is uncertain, although I still think they'll manage to keep hold of Ronaldo, to be totally honest. I don't know who's paying those wages. McCubbs, any other shouts from Liga?
Ferdy boy suggested Matteo Guendouzi.
I think this is smart.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, it seems like an obvious one because they're like making the loan permanent, aren't they? But like,
that's all they're doing.
Yeah, like, I mean, but he was one of the best midfielders in Liga last year. I think he might have even made our team of the year somehow.
Yeah, he did.
Which
I think Euro expert.
Yeah, I think Alex suggested him, and I think we were kind of like, let's just get that wild card in there. On reflection, I don't think he should have made our team of the year.
Next to Villarreal. Next to
Coquelin, I think.
Next to Capoue.
We went a bit rogue in midfield.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, but like,
I think it's Guendouzi, Capoue, and Modric.
We didn't put Capoue in there, did we?
Yeah,
I don't think
he
we
got
did.
a shout.
He got a shout. We didn't put him in there. Surely we didn't. He didn't make the final cut. Anyway, apart from that, like, yeah, just excellent last year, wasn't he? Like, you know, having been given a key role in Sampaoli's team, obviously we can talk a lot about, you know, a lot of Marseille players last year, but he was a real standout. You know, his talent has always been there, but like, yeah, to see him kind of refocused and really enjoy his football and stuff, it is great. 4 goals and 6 assists in 36 games, top 6 midfielders in Europe for progressive passes and progressive carries. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how he develops. It'll also be interesting to see where Callum Wendo goes, the PSG Academy product, writing about him recently. Yeah, he was at Lens, wasn't he, last year on loan, or for the last 2 years on loan. I'm not sure whether they're going to make that permanent or whether, you know, other clubs are going to go into it for him, so I'd keep an eye out for where he's going to go. And yeah, Minamino to Monaco as well for £15 million. Great sale from Liverpool, first off, for a player who didn't really make an impact at all at Anfield. But yeah, Monaco are a team that are really on the up at the moment, aren't they? Lots of exciting young players there. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of fits into the setup.
Yeah. It's interesting about Marseille. I mean, Sampaoli's left at the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I was at my cousin's wedding and I looked on Twitter and Sampaoli's gone.
He's fed up because they're not making the signings. He wanted to leave. I mean, I think he's got a point. They've secured a lot of these guys
all the players they had on loan last year.
Yeah, but they're not.
I spent a lot of money.
I agree with you, but yeah, I can kind of see where he's going. I think there are other targets that he was pushing for as well. I think they were looking at Ziyech as well. That looks like he's going to go to AC Milan. So I think it's a bit short-sighted just to walk out of the project. I never understand why managers do that. I mean, he's still at a great
job
club.
lined up. Yeah.
He's got Champions League football. Someone else is going to happily take his place. Yeah, I agree with you.
It's a shame though. It's a shame because all those players kind of did well because of him, didn't they? So yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, the biggest move financially in Liga has been Vitinha to PSG, and I made a vow for next year that I'm going to watch the Primera Liga properly, because Fabio Vieira, Vitinha, Luis Diaz, all these players coming out of there, and I just haven't seen enough of them. So I can't really give you any detail on Vitinha. I know he was at loan at Wolves the season before last, didn't really make an impact there, but I'm going to watch Porto, Sporting, Benfica much more next year. But yeah, hopefully that's a good move. I like it, the fact it's a Luis Campos move. He's still really young. But yeah, let's see what he can bring. I think he only became a regular in that Porto side once they loaned or sold. No, I think they sold Sergio Oliveira to Roma in January. So let's see what he can do at PSG in a midfield that has a varying degree of experience and ability and reputation, really. So let's see what happens there. Premier League, we're not going to go through in much detail, lads. I just want you to pick out your favourite transfer or your best transfer from the Premier League so far. Henry.
I like Mark Rocker to Leeds. I'm really excited to see that. Dukes, I saw you do a good tweet about Leeds business earlier. I can't be asked to talk about Erling Haaland, so...
Not bad, is
He's
he?
very sassy today, Henry.
Yeah. I like at Muller v Barca 82 suggestion of Perisic to Spurs.
I do as well.
I just think he's won so much. World Cup finalist, goal scoring World Cup finalist, knows how to play under Conte. 33s. Last season was one of his best seasons yet. I think that's great. I think he's going to go in there. I love that next side to Richarlison and Basuma. I think they've done great business. And I just think that Perisic is going to add, he doesn't have to play every game, but he's going to add that like experience steel, which they need. And I like the fact they're buying players who are ready to win. And yeah, so I'm going to go with Perisic. 2 years, yeah, they've given him a big contract, but they can afford to at this point. I think their business, to sell Bergwijn for 30 million euros and then spend, so basically reinvest that on Richarlison, I think it's amazing, actually. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Spurs' business and the Perisic deal in particular.
Nice. McCubs, number one for you in the Prem?
I think Gabriel Jesus to Arsenal.
You like it?
Yeah, I really like it. As soon as it got mentioned, as soon as there were kind of rumours about it in kind of late April, early May, it just feels right, doesn't it? Obviously, he's worked with Arteta before. Did a lot of, I think they used to do a lot of shooting practice together, and yeah, like I just really like Gabriel Jesus. I think he's been kind of criminally underrated at times in the Premier League. He's a really, really top striker. Has never like had that, you know, season where he's been scoring from September to May or even starting from September to May, but he's always had those kind of month periods where he'll score like, you know, 8 or 9 goals in like 1 month. So I'm really excited to see how he fits into that Arsenal setup, because it's ready made for a prolific striker, isn't it? And I think Jesus can be that, and he offers more than that as well. So like, yeah, I think he's a great signing at 45 mil.
Nice. I like Richie Smitz's suggestion of Yves Bissouma. Obviously, he's had a controversial time off the pitch recently, but that price is really good, to be honest. I think he's looked like a Champions League player for a long time. And yeah, it was £25 million in the end. So yeah, I think that's probably the best Premier League deal, aside from Erling Haaland, who has been signed for a bargain price. I think in the next 5 years, we'll look back at that deal as probably Man City's best in that period. But we have to rank the best move in Europe.
Oh, gosh.
Wow. We have to pick out our number one. We're not going to do a top 3. I just want your number 1. And while you guys think about it, because I've had a little bit more time to think about it, I've already talked about it. I think it's Antonio Rudiger to Real Madrid, to be totally honest.
Wow.
On a free transfer. Don't think it can be topped. McCubs.
Oh, God. I don't know. It's really difficult. I don't want to be boring and say Lukaku. I'm gonna stick to my, I thought there was so much good business in the Bundesliga, and the fact I went for Hlozek in the Bundesliga as my favourite, I think I'm gonna stick with him.
I like it. A loyal man, Mr.
Yeah.
McCubs. Mr. Hill, what are you bringing to the table?
Sensi to Monza. No, I'm not saying that.
You never know.
I think it's not a
No,
bad
it's
choice.
great. Listen, I do love Cranio to Monza. I really do. But I just think Tchouameni, I know it's a lot of money, but PSG wanted him. They got him. Really does shore up that midfield. I just think with Rudiger, like Alaba and
Not as
Militao were
not
good
as
there
needed,
last
yeah.
season, and their midfield is rapidly ageing out. And I just think to go get someone that prolific, yes, they've spent a lot of money on him, but I don't think it necessarily matters, because the signings they're making are
Long-term investments.
yeah, long-term investments. And I just think I like how you've gone for free. You've gone for like a lower-end transfer.
Yeah.
I just think as a
Big money Henry.
as a big money go,
big,
yeah,
yeah.
the big sack bully over here. I think that's just wicked.
The thing is with Real Madrid as well, like I was looking at their net spend over the last few years. Their net spend has been very, very low. Like I think they even turned the profit over like 5 years before this year. So like, it was kind of about time that they put down some real, you know, something big on a big prospect. So like, I think it's
I mean, I'd love to say like the Dortmund business, but you just get that feeling it's just gonna be same old, irrelevant of what happens. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, it can only be good if they're really pushing for titles and etc. So I think retrospectively they could be great as well. But also just shout out Mario Götze. I think just to get that move, to go on that journey back to the Bundesliga, to a great club, Champions League football next year. I'm so happy for him, and I did a tweet about him once. It was one of the most liked tweets I ever did. So he's clearly got a lot of like
some fans out there.
Some fans. So yeah, I just love that Götze move as well. But yeah, Tchouameni. Sorry,
Fair enough. No, it's a good shout. If I had to give it to a club, I would give it to Dortmund, but I'm not even sure whether they'll challenge for the title next year, to be honest. I think Leipzig will get better, and I think Bayern will be tough to beat as well. But I do really like Dortmund's business as a club. Guys, what was your favourite piece of business this summer from every top 5 league? And then give us your number 1 in the comments down below. And let's move on to quickfire questions. We're just doing one quickfire question to wrap up the show. And because we've talked about endless players endlessly, we're going to go a little bit off topic, a little bit like, was it Ethan Hunt last week? Mission Impossible.
Oh, God.
Anyway, we are going to talk about Caps Lock's question. Thank you very much, Caps Lock regular contributor. What is your favourite sport to follow when football is over? Henry, what do you like?
I briefly mentioned it at the top of the show. I mean, tennis is my
Your number
favourite
1
sport. Yeah, call me posh in the comments. Andrew Hughes, if you're watching, I know you will.
He's always trolling.
The infamous Andrew Hughes.
It's I just love it, especially this time of year as well. And like Wimbledon's been great. I love Ons Jabeur from Tunisia, like making history. We've seen the first Kazakhstan woman all man to get to a semi-final. That's just happened as well. I love like some younger guys coming through, and to see like Djokovic and that lot, who I genuinely think are some of the greatest. Djokovic, Nadal, Federer, like some of the greatest athletes that we've been lucky to see.
Been very spoiled, haven't we?
Yeah, for them to still be like doing the business is just incredible. So yeah, I love that, and also boxing as well. I'm a massive boxing fan.
Nice.
I spend a lot of time following all of that. So
non-football wise, you go tennis, boxing. What would be your third?
Probably it in terms of actually sitting down to watch it on TV.
Fair enough.
Darts. I like the darts.
I wasn't expecting that.
There's definitely an answer, I just can't think of it right now.
Yeah. McCubs, what about you? What sports tickle you pickle?
I think it's hard to look past tennis, I think, just because we kind of grew up with it in such a golden era.
Let us know if you want to see us tennis daily.
Yeah. Not that I'm an expert in any way. I feel bad. I've hardly watched any Wimbledon this year. I watched like the first day, all of it, and then kind of since then, kind of other stuff has got in the way. But yeah, but it's nice to see a Brit in the semi-finals of the men's. But yeah, like I think Rafa Nadal, like watching him at the French Open over the years is some of the most amazing sport I've ever watched. It's just like to see someone actually like get that kind of visceral feeling of like the pain that they're going through when you're watching them. I've never had that really with any other sportsman. So Nadal always has a special place in my heart for that reason. So yeah, I think tennis, and then like, you know, stuff like the Olympics and the athletics and stuff. Yeah. Like I can't say I'm really a fanatic on many other sports. You know, like I know cricket. There's like a lot of fanaticism about cricket. I'd love to get into it, but it feels just like there's so much.
So many rules and whatever.
So yeah, all of that and like all the stats and everything. Cricket's always been king for that, hasn't it? But what about you, Dukes?
I'm a bit of a sports nut. I kind of like everything.
Yeah.
I would say that my 2 favourite sports outside of football are probably cricket and rugby, particularly rugby. I was a much better rugby player than I was a footballer growing up, which isn't saying that much, at least on the football front. But yeah, I really enjoyed playing rugby, but I was never as big a fan of rugby as football. And then cricket, I love watching Test cricket. I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's such a unique sport. And the England cricket team have been incredibly watchable over the last 6 weeks, 2 months, breaking all sorts of records, and Johnny Bairstow having the summer of his life, the summer of anyone's life, really.
I must admit, actually, also, not Test cricket, but that World Cup final against New Zealand in 2019.
That was epic.
Was one of the maybe the greatest bit of sport I've ever seen. It was so ridiculous. It was so ridiculous.
Yeah, you've got to be careful about mentioning rugby in the Football Daily office, otherwise you get called names.
Yeah, you do. Some people react really badly to it.
I will say I've got more into Formula 1 recently, mainly due to Drive to Survive. And like a weird one, I absolutely love curling when it's on at the Winter Olympics. I think it's so funny
Eve
and it's
Muirhead
so
on their
technical.
side.
I love Eve Muirhead,
Yeah.
MBE, rightly deserved. I get so into it. My whole house, we were watching it this year because I think we got to the final of both them, both the men's and the females. So yeah, it was
Basically the only thing we're good at, isn't it? The Winter Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like speed skating. But yeah, so yeah, I love curling. But yeah, I respect your breadth of sort of interest when it comes to sport.
Yeah, I'm just a BBC Sport addict. Anyway, guys, let us know your favourite sports other than football in the comments down below. Let's get some chat going about other sports. Why not? And thank you very much for watching this week's show. It's been a long one, but I hope you've really enjoyed it. It's been great to be back in the East Dulwich Tavern. As we keep on saying, if you are in South East London, I got my compass a bit confused there. Please do come and check it out. It's a great venue. Dulwich Hamlets, if you know that sports team, they come and use it.
I think they're also showing a lot of the women's football here over the next few weeks. I saw
crucially, dive into that tournament. McCubs, anything you'd like to push?
Just go and check out our kind of top. We've got a lot of top fives out recently, so slightly less players, but more in-depth stories, kind of around transfers and young players and wonder kids and whatnot. So yeah, go and check those out.
Nice, Henry.
The podcast this week we were actually looking at.
It's back.
Yeah, the podcast is back. I mean that's good. That was between Richarlison, Rafinha, and Gabby Jesus, like comparing what was the better moves. Actually, quite a lot of interesting arguments. Pat Van Straten, your favourites. But yeah, I've loved this episode. Loads of names, loads of random clubs. What's more to enjoy?
Absolutely. And guys, stay tuned. The Football Pyramid is back tomorrow. Everyone is back from holiday. Our holiday works a bit weirdly where it starts again in July. So everyone was on holiday in June, so it stopped. But we have the first semi-final between Michael McCubbin and maybe just tune in tomorrow. Wait and see how that goes.
Classic.
It's a surprise. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you next week. Bye.